let's start with this. The Patriots, it feels like every year do this thing where they make everyone jump ship, right? They somehow have a good record, but people are telling them they suck. And then the playoffs come around and they find a way to win. They make it to the conference championship. They make it to the Super Bowl. And this year it feels a little bit different, right? Why?
Well, I think that there are like legitimate competitors with them in the AFC. I mean, a season ago, Kansas City was really their prominent competitor, and we all sort of thought, okay, Mahomes is going to regress a little bit as the season progresses, but also that defense was nowhere near a championship caliber defense last year. So, we all sort of had a little bit of hesitancy about Kansas City. The Chargers were not a team that none of us were worried about. The Ravens as well. So for me, it's like, well, this year the Ravens are probably better than they are. Houston on certain days are probably better than they are. Kansas City on certain days, like the losses don't seem as fluky as last year.
So what you're saying is they've lost to better teams, because last year they lost to the Dolphins,
yes.
They lost to the Titans, they lost to the Steelers,
yes.
right? But this year they've lost to the Ravens and the Chiefs.
But I think it's also sustained offensive ineptitude. Like you've seen Tom Brady disappear for games. Like you've seen that offense come and go for times, but this has been like a month and a half. Like it's been a while of just the offense not looking in sync.
We said last year was the defense, right?
Yeah, and so that's very different. It's never been that way at Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. They've had, like I said, certain games it's looked like that, and are they done? They just got manhandled by this team, but it wasn't 4 or 5 straight games that offense looking like that.
Well, and that's why this feels like a movie to me, right? Like I can't wait to see the ending because I mean,
you think you know how it'll end, but like I'm not sure.
It's unbelievable because Belichick and Brady. It was a couple years ago when Brady lost in Kansas City, and they were 0-2 or something, and everyone was like, he's done. And then look what he went on to do. And now everyone is like, man, he's losing it. They don't have the weapons.
They are playing Cincinnati this week.
And they video all their signals, so they're good to go. But, so I have some concerns because when I watch Brady play, and you just pointed out the competition when you're facing Deshaun Watson, when you're facing Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, those 3 quarterbacks can make plays happen whether the X's and O's are drawn up perfectly. Tom Brady's not there anymore. And Brady's never been a guy athletically to just scramble around, but he has been a guy that moved very well in the pocket and bought a little extra time within the pocket. Now, anytime he feels a little heat, man, that ball is coming out. He honestly doesn't even care where he throws it. He just wants it out of his hand so he doesn't get hit.
Yeah, defense matters so much less than we always think it does year to year. And we're gonna see something right now. They have a 16% chance to win the Super Bowl by our model, and that's almost entirely because of circumstances, right? Yeah. They have the easiest schedule the last 3 games of any team per our power ranking. They have the easiest schedule going into the season, and there's a almost 70% chance they get a bye, right? And so they have to play 2 games to get to the Super Bowl, where almost everybody else has to play 3, and that's really what's But even then, the betting markets have them at somewhere to 18 to 19%. And so we don't even like them as much as the betting market, right, which is giving them a huge premium because they are the Patriots, right? They are the team that sort of overcomes all these things. But for me, they're just strong in all the wrong places.
Well, and it's surprising. I think you said it right there. Last year, we thought they were a value. Why did we think they were a value? Because the things that were sustainable, that are most predictive, the offense, did not look this way. Mm-hmm. So let's start with this. Who is to blame for the offense looking like this? Because you seem to kind of think maybe Brady has more blame placed on his shoulders than the public are giving him.
Well, it's a mix, man. Honestly, like when you watch, and I think of, the Browns, when I watch them and all the hype going along with them and the dysfunction, it's details, being too quick to throw. When I think of Brady and the Patriots, it's miscommunications here or there. His receivers not quite understand. Brady's been in this offense forever, right? So he's already knowing he's 2 or 3 steps ahead of some of these receivers. Even Mohamed Sanu, he's been in the league for a while. Very smart guy. Played with him in Cincy. But to learn a whole different offense and a scheme and the adjustments within and after the snap, it's huge. So guys tend to play a little bit slower when you're thinking too much. And I think that's coming out. And I think Brady he doesn't have trust outside in those guys. So he's tending to hold the ball a little bit too long. And then, like I said, he just kind of doesn't want to get hit. He's getting rid of it. But it's funny to me, too, because then you see when the offense struggles, Josh McDaniels comes out with a trick play. Boom, gives them a little burst of energy, a little explosive play. So they do a really good job in finding ways to make some offense go. And I'm interested to see, like, this weekend, they play Cincinnati, if they could build up some confidence. Because right now, honestly, Brady needs to build up some confidence in himself and his receiving core in the offense. If they could do that, then I could see them playing better the rest of the season.
I think more to blame. Brady obviously deserves some blame, but I honestly do think it's the talent around him. As bad as that sounds and as easy as that is to say, they don't have any speed on that roster. Philip Dorsett's the only receiver that ran a sub 4.5 40 coming out. The only one in that group, and he is not a downfield threat. Never been a downfield
There's
threat.
a chance your 40 would qualify in that group.
Very possible, yeah. But they just don't have anyone. And everyone's always criticized Brady for his entire career for being a dink and dunk. And yes, he will kill you underneath, but he always has had that threat of the downfield. He can hit the downfield, and he lulls you to sleep at the underneath. There's no threat of that downfield.
And now defenses are just sitting on
defense just sit on it. And he's also the king of throwing before the receivers break, throwing the ball completely in rhythm. And that's the trust aspect. You can't throw before the receivers break if you're not trusting that the receiver is going to be where he needs to be.
Yeah, and this sounds almost blaspheme after last season, but you look at their competitors in the AFC right now, the Ravens have built their defense coverage up, right? So, when Brady hits his back foot, those guys aren't going to be open, and the subpar pass rush can now get to them. Kansas City, weirdly, right, their coverage has been one of the best groups in the league relative to their schedule, which has been the toughest to get. And then they have Frank Clark, and he gave them fits last week as well, Chris Jones. And then Houston as well, they lost that game because Houston deployed a bunch of former first-round picks at the cornerback position better than we all imagined them doing. So the fact that they didn't have Watt and folks up front really didn't matter. Last season they did a really good job of avoiding pass rush by throwing quickly against both the Chargers and the Chiefs in the AFC playoffs because guys could get open. Those guys can't get open anymore, and they don't have Gronk, who every single time at this when they've been struggling in recent seasons, so he's been but we have Gronk in our back pocket, right? And he emerges at the end of the season and can put together at least a couple games where he's the Hall of Fame tight end we know he is. He's not walking through that door. Right. They're throwing to Ben Watson, folks, and this is not going to be.
And that's where Brady and Watson, they've been off. You know what I mean? Miscommunications there. Brady's expecting one thing, he does another. But I just think of the Patriots, right? And you just brought up a great point with Gronk. It's been key moments in key games, they make a play. It's not like maybe they were shredding defenses, but when you needed that play, Gronk stepped up and made it. And that's, you look around the league, that's what honestly these games are. They come down to a few plays here and there. The Niners, Saints, it's guys stepping up in key moments and making a huge play.
The current best tight end in the NFL, George Kittle, makes a play.
I mean, monsters play.
And there was always the feeling of, when you had Gronk, if he didn't do a whole lot for the first 10 weeks of the season, it's well, don't worry about it. They still have him. They just aren't using him because they don't want him to get injured. And now it's there's actually no one to turn to, right?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I would have said that, look, the offensive line is so bad, we haven't seen Brady, with anywhere near the time that he needs to get rid of the ball consistently to guys that are open. And now he's holding onto the ball for longer than he's ever had because guys can't get open.
Right.
And the blame that I would place, the majority of the blame I would place is on Belichick and the defense. And here's why, 2 reasons. The first is, I think they bought into their defense too much. They thought, we have a defense that's so good that we can win with that. And that's a mathematical fallacy. You actually don't want to buy into the defense. You want to understand that it's unstable. And because of that, I think Belichick punted on Antonio Brown and Josh Gordon. Now, we don't know the story. I don't think we know the story about Josh Gordon.
Right.
It just seems fishy to me. But you're telling me that Josh Gordon lined up out wide doesn't demand some respect? I mean, right?
Absolutely.
More than Philip Dorsett out there, who's my size. So to me, that's where the blame should be placed. Brady, we knew what Brady was. We knew Brady wasn't Deshaun Watson before we went into this season.
Right.
So to me, that was the big error, and I think they pay for it. I don't think they win the Super Bowl this year.
I think that's a great point because, Belichick's old school, I feel like, and he's saying he can win this thing with the defense. And I mean, as great as his legacy is and will be, he probably wants that stamp on it to say, look, I
You're
won a
taking it
Super
a
Bowl
step
with my
further
team.
than me. That is a step further.
Yeah, look, it's
Yeah,
him
I
and
like
Brady.
that.
Who made who?
Yep.
And Belichick saying, you know what, we'll win a Super Bowl this year because I have the defense.
Wow.
And,
I will
that's
say,
why
though,
I never doubt Belichick.
That's the best Bruce grad school moment I've had thus far.
this is, though, still the best
I'm
defense in the
just
NFL.
glad I got George's approval
Like,
for that.
they are
think so.
still the best defense in the NFL. That still commands some respect. We saw it with the Broncos. You can still get 3 games and win a Super Bowl with the best defense in the NFL.
The hard part
if
is
it goes,
the hard part is you have to pray that you don't hit into a matchup that New Orleans and San Francisco hit into last week, where both of those defenses are pretty good. San Francisco, probably one of the top 2 in the league, but great offense always beats that. But if you're in the AFC, you have to hope that Kansas City continues to sputter a little bit offensively. Houston has those games where Deshaun Watson can't do anything. You have to hope that happens against you, and then you have to hope that your Hall of Fame coach figures out Lamar Jackson in a matchup there in Baltimore.
That you have
When
three
does
trick
he get
plays
hours in the
that you can
playoffs? Though? When does Bill Belichick give up
Exactly.
40?
So
And
that's
when does
what
he
you
give
have
up
to hope
37
for.
in the playoffs?
That's what you have to hope for. But then but the problem is whenever they've done that, except for the Super Bowl, and even the Super Bowl last year, where they only scored 13 points, they came up with the one drive they needed when they needed it, right? So that was something that the Patriots just simply couldn't do last week against Kansas City. It was an omen, I think, for what could be the end for them this season as a Super Bowl favorite.
The one thing I'll say about that is I agree with you. I think the Niners are darn close because of the talent they have. What's interesting about the Patriots defense is they rely on schemes so much for pressure that it puts an awful lot of pressure on their coverage. Yeah. And so they are susceptible. One of the reasons that defense is unstable is an injury here or there, and all of a sudden you have a weak point. And when you're relying so much on all those guys to cover and man, like that's tough. Yeah. And then you can't get any pressure. Like I think that's what happened in the Texans game, right? It was like, well, actually you need to cover 3 guys all the way down the field, and they couldn't do it.
Well, I was surprised in the Texans game because I saw things happen that was just unorthodox from their defense. It was like almost mental errors. You know, Belichick was expecting, we get in a bare front, we cover down the 5 offensive linemen, they're going to go 5 down. Now I'm going to blitz my middle linebackers through the A gap, and that back's probably going to pick them up. And then I'll key blitz, this linebacker, Van Noy. Well, all of a sudden, this back free released and let this linebacker come, free through. Well, Van Noy was like, oh, wait, no, shoot, now I have the back. And hesitated, it was a touchdown. So
he can't cover anybody.
No, I mean, so it was just.
Let's end on this. Who comes out of the AFC?
I'm going to say the Patriots. I still think it is.
I know you're not taking the Patriots.
Here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The Patriots are going to go to Baltimore and beat them in Baltimore, because I remember years ago when my brother was with the Ravens, I was at that playoff game, AFC Championship. We went to New England, a hard place to win, and the Ravens beat the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl.
Incredible game.
Unbelievable feel. I was actually a fan that day. My brother was playing for the Ravens, and I couldn't believe they beat them in New England.
Right.
So I just kind of have an eerie feeling like it's going to be now New England's turn to go to Baltimore. It doesn't seem like it's possible, and Belichick's going to do it once again.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to go a little off here. I'm going to say that the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes coming back and being healthy, possibly getting a bye, and a defense that, while it doesn't matter that much, is that if Kansas City had this defense a season ago, they would have probably won the Super Bowl. So I like them as an underdog. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to copy you. I really do like the Chiefs' chances, I think, because they've flown under the radar thus far. But I'll go with the Ravens because they're the most complete team. And that includes the coach, who will make the right decisions. And in close games, like you said, I would rather have the coach that's willing to go for the 4th downs every single time than the ones that are just wishing upon a star to see what happens.
That's why this is like a movie. I can't wait to see the end.
That's why the NFL season's awesome.
It's really up for, you really can't guess who's going to come out of it, because the Chiefs can heat up like they're starting to.
They'll sleep on the Titans
at the right time.
Right.
Tannehill.
Seriously.
So it's exciting.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.